How can you justify, as a Christian, eating processed meats? It needs to come from slaughterhouses. Christians preach compassion not only to human beings. Shouldn't we also extend that compassion to other species if they're innocent beings, just like us?
How do you know anything about God?
Through His creation, I was actually raised Catholic. But every time I'm out in nature, I can feel His presence because of His creation. How can you justify, as a Christian, eating processed meats? It needs to come from slaughterhouses.
You bet. If there is no God, obviously, human life has no innate value. Nothing has any innate value. So we choose to start giving things value, we thinking human beings. But if we're going to be honest, we're going to have to acknowledge it's all relative. It's not real. It's just something we create in our head. But if there is a God who has created you as a human being in His image and given you an innate value, then for me to eat you is cannibalism, and it's wrong. Now, is a cow created in the image of God? No. Is an insect, a cockroach, created in the image of God? No. Therefore, if I use a cow or an insect to support my life, to continue my life, the Bible communicates that is good. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I wantonly destroy animal life, plant life, the planet, that is evil. Why? Because although I can eat cow and cockroach to sustain my life, I am not permitted to destroy the earth, because the earth is a good gift from God. He's given me a rational mind, and He's put me in a position of responsibility to care for the earth.
I still don't understand, if Christians preach compassion not only to human beings, shouldn't we also extend that compassion to other species if they're innocent beings, just like us?
Yes, sir. I had better be compassionate to animals, correct. But if it comes to sustaining your life, and I choose to give you beef or chicken or fish, that is not evil. I am using that to sustain your life and my life. So that's not wrong.
But how can it not be? Because if you are taking that life away from an innocent, then how can you justify it?
You justify it by going back and simply thinking this way. Head of lettuce, cow's head, human head. Take out a machete, whap, off with the head of lettuce. Whap, off with the cow's head. Whap, off with the human head. Is there a difference in those three actions? What do you think?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The the cow is innocent because it has done nothing to us.
Right.
The human may or may not be innocent.
Yes.
The lettuce doesn't have any feeling, doesn't have a heartbeat, doesn't have a brain, can't feel.
Okay, I disagree. I think we can measure the head of lettuce experiencing some type of pain when it's cut. There's some type of pain that a lettuce experiences. I don't know what kind, but my understanding is when you cut off a branch, there is some type of pain that living organism experiences. Obviously, there's no brain. Obviously, there's no heartbeat in a head of lettuce or in a branch. But there is some type of pain, don't you think?
No, because there's no neurons, and to feel pain, something has to have neurons. Have to have a sensory organ of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some scientists who would argue, some biologists would argue that no, when you cut a tree, when you cut a head of lettuce, there is a type of pain that organism experiences. At least that's what they debated with me.
Could you describe that type of pain any further?
Yeah, it's a living organism that is dead, and it's going through a death process, a destruction process.
But when you cut off the head of a cow, the head doesn't regrow. When you cut off a branch from a tree, another branch grows.
Not always.
Not always, but it does happen.
That branch right there didn't grow back.
But a tree could keep growing.
Yes, tree can keep growing, yeah.
Even though you've taken a part of it away.
Yeah.
But you can't do that when you slaughter an animal or a human.
No, well, you slaughter them, but if you cut my arm off, hopefully I'm going to get it stitched up and I'm going to continue to live. All right? But why do you think human beings are valuable?
Because we have the capacity to show compassion towards other species because they were given that capacity. So we should enact the responsibility that we have been given to be good stewards of all life.
Okay, who gave us that capacity? So you're a theist. You believe God exists. Okay, great. How has God revealed Himself, herself, itself, themselves to you? How do you know anything about God?
Through His creation, I was actually raised Catholic. But every time I'm out in nature, I can feel his presence because of this tree that he has given us.
Okay? Now, when you're in nature,
Yes.
what do you find out about the character of God? What is God like as you walk through the woods or by the seashore?
He's very kind, gentle, compassionate, thoughtful, artistic. He cares. He really does.
Okay? Very good. Amy Dillard is a brilliant woman. She wanted to get back in touch with nature. So she went up into the mountains and sat next to a brook, just to enjoy the beauty of nature. She's sitting there at the brook, and all of a sudden, she watches a bug land on the head of a frog and suck its brains out. And the head collapses, and the frog dies. Annie Dillard watches other things like that occur in nature. And suddenly, Annie Dillard begins to realize, whoa, there's a lot of beauty in nature, but there is a bucket load of ugliness and death and destruction as well. See, so if you look just at nature, I think it's very difficult, if you're going to be intellectually honest, to say God is kind and loving. Yes, there is evidence. There's a lot of kindness and a lot of love. But there's a boatload of cancer cells, a boatload of clogged arteries, a boatload of aging and death, and a boatload of bugs sucking the brains out of frogs. Not very kind, not very loving.
No.
See, my point is that if you take Jesus Christ out of the picture, you're up a creek without a paddle when it comes to explaining why you believe God is loving. Because you can't conclude and keep your brain intact, I think, that God is loving when you're watching your parent die of cancer, when you're watching a bug suck the brains out of a frog. See, that's why this revelation of Jesus Christ is so crucial when it comes to understanding the character of God. Make any sense or no?
Yes, it does. And then going back to your earlier statement about how we should treat our bodies like a temple.
Yes?
Not only spiritually, but mentally and physically as
Yes,
well.
sir.
How do you... So, are you familiar with the China study? It was conducted over a number of years by various scientists that showed that as you increase animal byproducts and animal foods
Yes.
to the diet, you have increased rates of heart disease, increased rates of diabetes,
Yes.
and cancers.
Yep.
So, what is your response to that?
If you want to be vegetarian, go to it. I think it's a very wise move. My wife is almost totally vegetarian. She allows me to eat fish and chicken and turkey, but I've got to stay away from red meat, right, love? And we eat at vegan restaurants, and we are definitely organic. If I buy anything that's not organic, she is upset with me. So I'm learning to be very organic, and I take her out to a vegan restaurant occasionally. And so yes, if you're vegetarian, I'm sure you have good reason, and I celebrate that fact. My problem is I have a very hard time having a balanced diet, maintaining my energy level without having sufficient protein, and I do a very bad job, if I don't eat meat, keeping my protein level up. So that's why I'm not vegetarian myself. But if you're vegetarian because you are concerned about the slaughter of cattle and animals, more power to you. Keep going.
Thank you.
Good to meet you. You too. Have a great one.